Okay, thank you very much for the nice introduction. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome again to this. It's going to be really insightful events today because yesterday I also participate on the internal program, the internal event that is held by the doctoral program, and Professor Hiram is also talk about positioning your research and the contribution to the field. But today the talk is going to be a little bit different. Professor Hiram is going to talk a lot about the contemporary issues in business management and economics. So I put one additional word, management, because probably most of us is also from the management field. So probably we're going to learn an interesting discussion regarding contemporary issues in those fields. My role here is actually to introduce Professor Hiram, but I guess Pak Gilang is also introduce Professor Hiram to you, participants in these events. But I want to add that Professor Hiram is actually currently becoming the editor-in-chief for, like if I'm calculating from his CV, it's like more than 4 prestigious journal like Young Consumers, Journal of Applied Structural Equation Modeling, Asian Journal of Business Research, etc. So this is going to be a really precious opportunity for us to talk with him and to discuss a lot of issues in business management and economic research. So without further ado, let me ask Professor Hiram to join us in front. Please give a round of applause to Professor Hiram. Do you want Yeah, I mean, this is going to be free. I mean, Professor Hiram usually loves to stand up and to talk more closer with the participants. So you please feel free to do that. We will have we don't have all of the time in the world, but Professor Hiram's presentation is going to be like 90 minutes. So you will have until 10:30, Professor, to deliver your materials, or if you can finish before that, we can just do a longer Q&A session, because after 10:30, I'm going to open the Q&A session, and for everyone who have questions, you can just raise your hand and I'm going to give you the microphone and directly ask to Professor Hiram. Okay, I'm going to remind you if there is the time left. Yes, and so without further ado, please do deliver your materials, Professor.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for having me. I'm grateful for the presence of the Vice Dean, the Head of Publication Unit, and all of you, Ibu, Bapak. So very good morning. This morning, I'm going to share with you something related to business and economics, but in a more specific way, rather than giving you fish, I'll be sharing how to fish. And when I share about how to fish, I will share some topics, some research I've been doing or planning, and some of these topics might be of your interest. So feel free to ask or comment later at 10:30. When I consider this topic, I, can't help but think about all the digital technologies today. You have ChatGPT, you have DeepSeek, and it's very convenient for us to use these technologies to generate what are the contemporary topics. So you don't really need me to tell you what these topics are in a sense. But when I share some experience, I hope it's not just about the topic per se, it's about how I come up with the topic and how I develop this topic. So I feel this could be more important. If not, again, whatever I said, you can always check using ChatGPT whether I cover everything, whether it is comprehensive. There will always be something new. I often say we must be the best critic of our work, because what we did last week, today we might find it irrelevant. Things are progressing, and so we have to keep moving forward as well. I told some participants, some students yesterday, when I look at my PhD thesis many years ago, I wonder how could I pass my viva? How could I defend my viva? I look at it, there are so many mistakes. In a sense, I was lucky. On another hand, it shows that I'm making progress, because what I know today is more than what I knew yesterday, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And that is the essence of research. That inquisitive mind, that sense of curiosity, searching, researching. And for those who are doing Masters of Science, Doctor of Philosophy, that philosophical stance, that quest for truth, for realities, must be the very motivation why we do research in the first place. I also shared with some PhD students yesterday afternoon. While getting a PhD, a master degree is important, is very important, don't overlook the process that you go through. Because doing research, this process is, it has a lot of opportunities where you can learn a lot. Getting a thesis done is important. At the same time, equipping yourselves with skills is equally important, if not more important. And when you learn skills, when you equip yourselves with skills, it needs time. It needs time. Learning something in one day, getting something done in one day is possible, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have mastered that particular technique. It requires time. Like it or not, it also requires failures and mistakes. I look at my own experience. There are so many things I learned wrong. For example, I learned a software called M.Mgt, variance-based structural equation modeling. But I found later, it could not really analyze my data to produce results that I desired. Then only I learned from during a workshop about another software using covariance structural equation modeling. So I realized I learned the wrong software. I don't know how many months I spent on it. In hindsight, I'm actually grateful for learning the wrong software, because it allows me to understand many articles which use that software. When I listen to students' presentations, when I read some articles, I could understand how the analysis was done, because I learned the wrong software. And also, like it or not, in a real sense, many times when I share things in seminar, in workshops, many of them are actually a learning process through failures, through mistakes. So you will be hearing a lot today, how I learned to fish, and what these fish are, we will, explain. And in between the line, we will talk about some potential topics. But again, like I said earlier, it's more about how I came up with these topics, how we did together, and what are the plans, what are our future directions to advance this particular knowledge domain. So thank you so much for moderating this session. Yes, I need your help to remind me to control my time. Perhaps at 10, you should let me know as well. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. Oh, I have the, do I have the, maybe I will just do it. Okay. So this is where I am. I introduced myself yesterday, but if you are new, Sarawak, the capital city is Kuching. Kuching is only 1 hour 40-minute flight from Jakarta. So we are not, that far away from you. So welcome to Kuching. Let me know if you come. All right. Next, please. These are some of the quotes I always like to share, and that really explains to a certain degree how I see research, how I do research. Many times we are very concerned about methodology, but if we see research as it is, especially in academia, it is actually a scientific process. Well, we can talk about research loosely. Everyone is doing research. Practitioners are doing research. My children are doing some research as well when they are curious about something. They like to try out their marker pen, and therefore they draw everything on the wall. So we are doing research in many, many ways. But from scientific perspective, what research is, as I mentioned earlier, your inquisitive mind, your curiosity, and all these enable you to ask questions. Asking questions, formulating right questions, actually marks the advancement of science. Especially social science research, formulating research questions correctly can be more important than solutions. Therefore, for your Masters of Science, PhD thesis, you don't really need to write solutions. You can discuss, you can provide implications. Some universities accept recommendation, some not necessary. It's not really necessary because the emphasis is more on knowledge creation, knowledge contribution. So let's look at some of these quotes. I do not know whether they really spoke this, but Google tells me so. I just put it there. Number one, Albert Einstein, try not to become a man of success, but try to become a man of value. Now, I'm nowhere near Albert Einstein, but I guess what he means, and it is in line with what I shared with you yesterday, for those of you who were there. If we see publication as a success, then I would consider publishing as value. Now, what is the difference? Publication and publishing. You may see publication as a goal, something that you need to achieve. It is your KPI. It is what determines your promotion. Rightly so. And this is why we should aim for all these goals. But at the same time, do you see publishing as a process? Because it is a process where you create values, you share values. I always like to use this term. When you achieve your goal, you will get more than what you bargained for. And this is what I'm going to share with you later. Why publishing is more than just publication. And why when you strategize your publishing, it's not just about knowing what are the contemporary business and economic topics. It's also about how to create knowledge, how to justify the novelty, originality of your research, how to build your argument, how to, as we discussed yesterday, how to position your study, how to make contribution to knowledge, how to inform practice. The scholarship of research is, in many ways, not just about what topic you do, it's about how you communicate the topic. It's not just about following template. There are many templates, guidelines out there, which are necessary. It's also about how you use your researcher's hat, use your researcher's voice to tell stories which your audience can understand. If you could not, if you fail to understand what I deliver after 10:30, there are only two possibilities. Either all of you are not listening, or I do my job poorly. We should understand our topics well enough to explain in simple words. Research can be profound, yes. But when we talk about social science research, behavioral research, there are many things. It must make sense to you. It must make sense in our society. Later on, I will also share with you why, apart from reading literature, which is very important, it is also necessary to talk to practitioners. We should not just stay in our comfort zone, in our lab. Yes, reading literature, reviewing literature, this is absolutely necessary, but we cannot be detached from the real world. I had a friend who told me during a conference, there was a presentation by a PhD student about hospitality, about hotel service. And on his slides, he showed so many concepts, jargons, terminologies, bombastic words to impress audience. Then one professor asked a question. Can you tell me how much a cup of water costs in the hotel? Okay, the student said, I don't know. Okay, this is a problem that I see in many places, and that is when we do research, we over-rely on templates, we over-rely on guidelines, we over-rely on advanced software. We forget some of the basic and fundamental things. As if you are smart, if you are hardworking, you can get it done. Nothing wrong for being smart, for being hardworking, but many times we overlook some of the most fundamental things. We use SPSS, we use Smart PLS, for example. We run multiple regressions, for example. We forget what are the 7 assumptions that you must fulfill before you do that. We rely on the software too much. Okay, we assume probability sampling as our sampling strategy. We use random sampling. We use stratified sampling. Why? Because we want to generalize our findings from our sample to our target population. But you forget that to use probability sampling, you must have sampling frame. Do you know your respondents? Do you know who they are? Do you know where they are? If not, how can you assume that you give equal chance to every respondent in your target population? And therefore, probability sampling, it doesn't matter how superior it is not appropriate in the context of your study. For example, so all these are very important, the fundamental things. And I mention all this because, again, while we achieve our goal, we are fixated to achieving our goal. Nothing wrong, it's all good, but don't overlook many instances, touch points in the process. This is where we share value, create value, we become a man of value. Happiness is only real when shared, and this is why I'm very happy to be here. I'm honored to be here. I learn from something. I never claim this is mine, and therefore I'm happy to pass on to others. If I can't help, I will tell you, my friend can help you. I will let you know who he or she is. So knowledge is meant to be shared, and sharing makes you happy. There are many studies. I could have written it as a single author. It will be good for me. It will be good for my profile. It's my study anyway. For some reason, I still invited my friends or my students or my younger colleagues, juniors, to join. I don't know. It's just, I feel happier by doing that. Nothing wrong if you like to single author your paper. Okay, this is just my experience. By instructing students how to learn, unlearn, and relearn, a powerful new dimension can be added to education. And the key words here are unlearning and relearning. And I think I mentioned yesterday, I think so, because I've been speaking for 20 days. So I guess yesterday I mentioned this. Students who do everything smoothly, did everything smoothly, sometimes it is a concern. Your theory is given by your supervisor, it is correct, your idea is correct, your topic is correct, your literature review is wonderful, your methods are correct, everything smooth sailing, and you complete your PhD, your master's. We congratulate you because this is quite a milestone. You graduate in time, but of course, this is not meant to make comparison. Different individuals, different journeys. If you do your PhD in other countries like Taiwan, US, it may take a longer time. What I like to point out here is we may not be exposed to different possibilities. We may not be exposed to different methods. When I wrote my thesis, under the section of theory, I wrote 3 things. I did not write those things initially, but after I attended a workshop, I decided to do that. And that is, I explain what my underlying theories are. A theory which I use as the basis to formulate, to develop my framework. Then, because in my study, I extend the model, okay? I contribute to the domain knowledge by incorporating some constructs. For all these addition, I use supporting theories. Okay, so that's under theory. I have underlying theory. I explain. Number 2, I introduce supporting theories because I need to justify theoretically why a moderator is added. Or it may be in your case, why a mediator is constructed in your model. Then, listen, number 3, I add competing theories. What is competing theories? These are the theories which are relevant to your study, but why you did not use them. Okay? If you only write underlying theory, nothing wrong. But you only learn one thing. In the process, when you read articles, you must have read there are many other theories. And these theories, to a certain degree, are relevant to the variables constructs in your study. If you defend your thesis, or if you submit a paper to a journal, these examiners, these reviewers, may not ask questions that you expected, or it could be questions that you expected if you prepare well. And that is, they may ask you, why not you use this theory, that theory? You cannot say, oh, I have not read about it. I did not know about it. My supervisor told me only this theory. You can't say all this. So if you review literature, if you put all this in your writing, not only the theory that you use, but also the other theories which are relevant, yet you explain why they are not included in your study, it equips you with more knowledge, with more skills. Even though you don't use them, you are aware of them. Okay, so these are things that we have to unlearn and relearn. It's not just about what matters to complete your thesis. This is a process where you can learn, unlearn, relearn many things. When we talk about research methods, don't be surprised. What we learned, what we read a year ago, 2 years ago, could be obsolete today. The advancement of research methods is almost like the advancement of IT. It can be obsolete immediately thanks to human complications. We become more and more complicated, and therefore researchers have to come up with better algorithms, better software to explain and predict us. So we have only ourselves to blame. Now, when you go for Viva, you may expect to get many questions. In the past, all these questions were never asked. They did not do it correctly, they pass at that time. If you say, I follow my senior, sorry, you will fail this time. Okay? So be aware. Again, these are the things I will discuss later. If what you choose to do has got to be something that you are passionate about, because otherwise you won't have the perseverance to see it through. I hope my body language demonstrates. When I do research, I find it fun, or I do it with passion. Challenging? Yes. Difficult? Yes. It is never meant to be easy. It is never meant to be smooth sailing, but it promises rewarding. It promises satisfying. As a result, you always have extra gear. You find extra reasons why you want to persevere. Even though your paper is rejected, even though you receive harsh comments from someone as if you are, suddenly you are nobody. We learn in the process. And in many ways, it is also a process where you have to manage yourself, including your stress. Okay? PhD is a scientific process, intellectual pursuit. But especially when you are doing social science research, you must not detach yourself from the real world. I know this is not what the topic is about, but I can't help. Stress, depression, and all this. I always told myself, if I'm stuck in my mind how to solve this problem, especially in the evening, either I will go to sleep, because tomorrow will be a new day, and suddenly you realize, now I realize there is a solution. Or I just go to reward myself with I don't drink coffee, with hot chocolate. I am a person who like to reward myself. Don't be stingy. Don't be selfish to yourself. Why? Because I spent 1 hour reading. I must reward myself. Right? If I submit a paper, the paper is sent to review, I will reward myself. Okay? Sometimes I have these crazy ideas with my friends, but not now. Still. To do it with passion. Many years ago, I told my friend, we both love the same sirloin steak. We both love the same Western restaurant in Kuching. Why not we have an agreement? We would never visit this restaurant and eat sirloin steak until our paper is published. Okay? Sound like a punishing experience. But it is fun. Why? Because now he and I work together, encourage one another. So when the first paper was published, you can imagine, we were so happy. We went to the restaurant, the same sirloin steak, but it tastes extra sambal or whatever. Okay, extra good. We did this together for 3 times before he moved to another university. There are many things you can do to create that environment. Sometimes enabling environment is given to you. Sometimes it is not. There is no need to complain. Example, I have many friends in the past. They are lecturers. They are doing PhD as well. And for those lecturers who are doing PhD, they are given time off on Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon to focus on their research. No insinuation, just sharing. Okay. What happens is management people know that since all these lecturers are free on Thursday and Friday, they will call for meetings during Thursday and Friday. Okay. Sometimes an enabling environment is given. Sometimes it is not. If it is not, then create it yourself. If you like some background music, if you need to write with someone, if you need deadline to chase you, that's why some people said deadline is the greatest motivation. Many ways, make it fun. It is something that you should be passionate about. Now, if you have the inquisitive mind, which I shared earlier, that quest for truth, that desire to share what you found with others, should be something exciting. And like what the Vice Dean said earlier, it's not just about publication, but what about life after publication? Will people read your paper? Will people cite your paper? Will your paper make an impact on others, on those in academia? What about those in the industry? So while I'm invited as a speaker here, something which I'm very privileged, I'm also honored to be invited to speak in government function, in professional conference, because that shows that the work that I'm doing is no longer relevant. It's not just relevant to academia, but also to the industry. So again, that passion, that fun, I must have spent too much time here. Now, editor is always right. You don't like it, but anyway, the editor is always right. You must remember that. Now, let me explain this. I briefly discussed yesterday. My editor may be raising points I don't agree with. She may be getting certain things wrong. But on the flip side, it means I didn't make the right message powerful enough. You get the point? There's no need to complain. This editor is rubbish. These reviewers don't understand Indonesian context. How could he say that? How could she reject my paper? It doesn't really matter now. There's no need for you to complain. Don't criticize him on Instagram. We are living in a small world. If you have that learning, unlearning, relearning attitude, it simply means maybe you are right, but the way you write, the way you communicate is not convincing, or he or she misunderstands. As simple as that. You have to improve. You have to review. You have to revise. You have to come up with better argument, better clarity. Okay? And this, again, is the process where we can learn all this. If I know what I'm doing, because I've been reading articles, I have been rewriting my paper, what about sharing this with someone who listened to you for the first time about this paper? Okay, I remember before I went for my thesis defense, 1 or 2 months before that, there was a colloquium. I was asked to present my thesis. I presented in 15 minutes. And one of the comments given by a panelist is, I could understand in 50 minutes what you did in the last 3 to 4 years. For me, that is a compliment. That is wonderful. 1 or 2 weeks before Viva, a friend of my supervisor from New Zealand visited us, and he asked me, can you tell me in 1 sentence what makes your research great? 1 sentence only, I make sure I use a long sentence, but still 1 sentence. In split second, I just told him what it is. Then he told me that, I think you are ready for your thesis defense. My thesis defense on Monday, Saturday and Sunday, I conducted workshop. Okay, no one actually knew that I was preparing for my thesis. When I went to the university on Monday, I have the feeling that I'm attending a discussion session. True enough, it was like a discussion. After presenting for 20 minutes, Q&A less than 30 minutes, maybe. Then I was asked to leave, I was asked to come in, decision pass. So it did not come easily because in my research, I used mixed methods design. 2 rounds of interview, each round 50 and 45 interviewees, 95. And because my study concerns generations, I needed to collect questionnaire in the second phase from respondents who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's extremely difficult to collect data from those who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s. 1,200 respondents, valid respondents, okay? When I completed my thesis, even my supervisor was surprised. I managed to get it done. It is a process where, again, like I said, I learned many things, including many things from failures and mistakes. To spice things up, well, in an unfortunate way, my supervisor was hospitalized. My deputy dean told me he will not survive. So for that final year, 3rd year, I could not progress. But I wanted to cheer him up. I wanted him to survive. He was in the hospital. So whenever he asked me, how's your thing, whatever, I said, perfect, no problem, okay? Then I asked him, what about the other PhD students? What about your master students? What about your undergrad students who are doing research under you? Let me know their names. I will supervise them. So for that 1 year, I supervised all his students, okay? He survived, and therefore I managed to get it done, whatever. A few months later, he was hospitalized and he did not survive. So this is the process where many things can happen. How you learn, how you manage yourselves. You might say, oh, how unlucky I am. Why me? Why, you just have to accept it. It is also a process how you manage yourself, not just your thesis, okay? As a better researcher, it's not just about intellectual capability, your heart, your horizons have to be broadened to help many more. And in this situation, embrace it and move on, learn from it. Then this proves to be another milestone to become better and better. Next, please. It sounds more like a motivational talk at the moment. Anyway, keep your fish healthy by not overfeeding them. Now, when you buy fish, is it not for eating? You want to feed, okay? If you buy fish, is it enough? You want fish to be your pet. Is it enough just to buy fish? No, right? You have to buy other things, right? Fish could be cheap, but they are clever. You have to buy aquarium, you have to buy many things, and those might not be cheap. And when you feed fish, you are actually feeding water as well. Overfeeding may contaminate water. As a result, the environment is not healthy, your fish will also die. Do you get the point? Many factors can affect the water in your aquarium, including the source of your water, the food you feed your fish, the amount of algae growing, and much more. In high quantities, this chemical will kill animals in an aquarium. This is what I keep saying when we are too fixated to our goal. Again, nothing wrong with it, but if you are too fixated, sometimes you lose the bigger picture. You lose the bigger picture, okay? You just feed your fish all the time. Eat more, read more, write more, okay? Life is more than a PhD. a master degree, but do it with fun, do it with purpose. Next, please. Now I need to move on. Now, I serve as the editor-in-chief of Young Consumers. I was appointed in 2022. But you must realize, my journey with Young Consumers did not start in a glorious way. My first experience with Young Consumer was the end of 2014. I submitted a paper. In January 2015, I received the email from the then editor-in-chief. Your paper is rejected. Reason, outright inappropriate. That's how bad it was. How bad it was. I did not lose heart. So to cut the story short, one thing that I did, I will explain later more, hopefully within time. I wrote an email to the editor-in-chief. Can I volunteer myself as an ad hoc reviewer? I'm not an editorial board member. I just want to be an ad hoc reviewer. I said many times, no harm trying if they did not reply. No harm trying if they replied and they said no. Okay? But in reality, editors always assign papers to multiple reviewers. They are editorial board members. And we also invite ad hoc reviewers to do that. Now, someone wrote an email to me, he or she is willing to do that. Why not? He or she could be the third reviewer, fourth reviewer. It doesn't really affect the quality of the first two reviewers. So some editors will do that. In this case, he did that. So when I receive invitation, I make sure I review well, I read articles, because apart from all the good things I comment, I must say something criticize. And to criticize others' work, you need to make sure you read more. Okay? Editors, in most situations, appreciate constructive comments. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Sometimes reviewers can also get it wrong. Most importantly, constructive comments. Meaning, if literature is not enough, you don't just write, literature is not enough, read more, full stop. Don't do that. Where is not enough? And then do some homework, suggest this is the paper you could read. That is the paper you could read. Even though that is not the best paper, it's okay. Write constructively. Now, I did this multiple times. I learned two things. Number one, I learned how to review. When we review others' works, you have to be constructive, you have to be critical. It actually helps you a lot. And some platforms, example, Emerald Publishing, allows you to read comments by other reviewers. And this is where you learn from other reviewers something which you miss out or something that you are endorsed. The comments that I gave are similar to the comments by another blind reviewers. Okay? Number one, you learn how to review. Number two, you become more and more familiar with your target journal. Because these papers which you review, after round one, after round two, eventually they are published. By doing this, you build your confidence. If they can do it, I can also do it. Now I become more and more familiar with the sort of papers which are eventually published in Young Consumers. So, two things. And you don't need to become a professor by doing this. Okay? Even if you are a PhD, you are doing your PhD, no harm writing email to the editor-in-chief. Identify the target journal in your field and do that. Do that. And some journals have this policy to support young scholars, emerging scholars, as part of their social corporate responsibility. Okay, so submit your CV, propose your value, and see how it goes. So after a while, I wrote an email to the editor-in-chief after reviewing multiple times. Can I be considered as an editorial board member? To cut the story short, I was included. Before long, I became the associate editor, and when the former editor stepped down in 2021. She recommended me to be the editor-in-chief. And 2022, I do that until now. In a period of 7 years, 2015 to 2022, from an outcast to editor-in-chief. What is the moral of the story? If I can do it, all of you can do it. And also, trust the learning process. I did not aim this when I experienced this. I just wanted my paper to be published. But because you learn, unlearn, relearn in the process, remember what I said just now? At the end, not only you achieve your goal, you get more than what you bargained for. And there's a lot more to this. Okay, next please. This is another journal called British Food Journal, but I like to tell you something similar. Again, I wrote an email, can I be the ad hoc reviewer? Okay, the editor-in-chief then is Professor Christopher. He said, okay. He sent the paper to me. I reviewed 2 times. Then I submitted a paper because I felt that I could do it. And the paper was sent to review, 2 rounds of revision, eventually published. So I did not experience rejection from British Food Journal. British Food Journal, by the way, SCIE, Scopus Q2. Okay. Then I became the editorial board member. I proposed a special issue. It was given. Because of that special issue, I could guide many to publish. Why? Many scholars from Malaysia, Indonesia, Hong Kong, other countries, they liked the special issue and they wrote emails to me. Now you expand your network. Okay. Then conference, we organized a conference in Kuching. I invited Professor Chris to Kuching. At that time, it was before COVID. We used Skype to communicate. I asked Professor Chris, would you like to come to Sarawak? We want to invite you as a keynote speaker. He lives in UK. Because of friendship, after this journey, he said, yes, I'll be happy to come. Then I asked him, can we fly you in using economy flight because of budget constraint? He said, yes, I'm happy to do that. Then I asked him, apart from keynote speech, can you also do a workshop before that? Now I demand more and more. Then he said, okay, I will do it. Then the last question, I wondered if I could ask, but eventually I asked, can you do all this without honorarium? No budget. Then he said, okay. Okay, so he came. He did all this, but I told him, as a token of appreciation, I'll bring you to see orangutan. I will bring you to some cultural village. I'll bring you to grocery, shopping mall, whatever, because he is a food expert. I actually regretted because when I brought him to shopping mall supermarket, I thought it's just a quick observation. Ended up, he spent 1 to 2 hours lecturing, telling me why this is too cold, why this storage is wrong, why the temperature is incorrect, why this sushi exposed, whatever, everything. He's not only in academia, he's also the advisor consultant to World Cup South Africa, food poisoning issue in Egypt, lawsuit, and all this. That's why not long after that, he decided to step down. He said he has too many works, consultancy works. Okay, so this is how you create value. One thing leads to another. Then I proposed another special issue. This time, these guest editors are my bosses at my former university. And that helps them a lot. Especially one of them, associate professor, becoming full professor, partly because of this. Why? Because when she moved to other universities, she purposely wrote an email to me to thank me for including her into this special issue. She has been applying, not successful, but this special issue helped her in many, many ways. Okay, so next. So a lot of things you can do in the process, all right? Sorry, next please. Okay, this is another journal, AJBR 2017. When I was appointed as the editor, it was not ranked at all. Okay, we revamped, we improved. 2018, we submitted to Scopus. 6 months later, if I remember correctly, we received the decision. It was included in Scopus Q4. Now it is Scopus Q2. Okay, Scopus Q2. So for young consumer, I'm given the opportunity to inherit, to edit a good journal. But this is a journal that was not so good, and you learn how to make it better. Okay, so if you have any papers related to business, example, marketing, management, human resource, tourism, hospitality, you might want to consider this. One of the themes, topics under AJBR is very close to Q1. I told the editorial board, this year we must push so that it could get into Q1. Okay, for journal, sometimes we have several themes, several topics. One of them is very close to Q1. Okay, next. Oops, next. Okay, storytelling. This is another journal we started in 2017, Journal of Applied Structural Equation Modeling. We started in 2017. 2020, it was included in Scopus. 2024, last year, it was Scopus Q1 in management. And management is very competitive. Okay, now, when I started this, except for Professor Ramaya, he was here before, right? The rest, they are all PhD students. Jason, maybe he just completed, Dr. Jason. The rest, they are all PhD students. So they are willing to learn. And this is something we started from zero. Young consumer, we inherited something that is good. AJBR, we are asked to do something that is not so good. This one, we started from zero. Again, you don't have to wait 5 years, 10 years. You can learn today. Okay, maybe you can write an email to Ibu Papa. I would like to become an ad hoc reviewer. Okay, you become reviewer number 4. Okay, because we don't know yet how good you are, but you can learn from there. This is a good exercise for masters and PhD students. And this is definitely also a good exercise for lecturers, for researchers, so that you are always benchmarking yourself against what international reviewers think about your work or about these papers. Okay? And of course, there are many things that we do in the process, including working together with software developers, these SCM experts from US, from Germany, and we created a WhatsApp group called MySem. Okay, if you are using Facebook, this is a group again where we will meet many experts. Of course, they might not comment, but you will get some articles, someone upload, or you ask questions, someone may answer. Professor Ramaya might answer your questions. Next, please. Okay, this is a new journal I started 3 years ago, Journal of Responsible Tourism Management. I cannot tell you all the story, but in short, this is a journal where I purposely designed to welcome practitioners' papers. That's why this journal is supported by Minister of Tourism in my place. I presented this to him, to his office, to make sure that they see the value and they support. When they say they support, I want to make sure they provide funding. Even though I could do this journal without funding, But I purposely do that because when they commit funding, then they are serious. Okay. Now this journal is also available on the Tourism Ministry website. So again, how you use your research process to create values. After this trip, I will need to meet him soon to present something related to responsible tourism initiative at the policy level, not at the implementation level. Okay, so again, this is how we work together and how you utilize your work, create value, make it more impactful. Next, please. These are the special issues which I guest edited in between 2018 to 2022, more than 20 special issues. All of them, is it? Or no? Most of them Scopus, okay? Some SSCI. My friend asked me, why don't you spend all this time on your own paper? Okay? So because when we did this, we don't believe we could not publish in those issues. We only wrote editorials. But again, the value, example, next slide please. Because of all these special issues, I met friends from different parts of the world, from Australia, from Hong Kong, from Taiwan, from US, from China, from African country, where is it? West Indies, okay? South Africa. I even put my affiliation, Ming Chuan University Taiwan and Universitas Islam Bandung. No more now. At that time, I was the adjunct professor. So, special issue, publishing. It also helps you to expand your network. It also facilitates collaborations. Okay, collaborations. Some of them are seasoned researchers. Example, Professor Yuli Grexel, a big name in IT, in tourism, in smart tourism. Okay, so these are the people you can work with. Professor Yang Zhiling Yang. Okay, he published in Journal of Academy of Marketing Science, Journal of Business Research. These are top journals. Okay, now good friends. I just visited Hong Kong a few months ago. All right, so I can't say too much, but I hope you get the idea why you can do a lot when you are doing your master's, when you are doing your PhD, or after getting your PhD. There are many ways to manage your resources, to keep learning, unlearning, and relearning. Next, please. Okay, this is a paper that I and my colleagues wrote some years ago. So let me briefly explain. Are you familiar with this? If you look at that picture, you know what this is? Okay, this morning I did it again. Before I ate my breakfast, I took the picture first. Okay, so what happened many years ago when I went to restaurant, when I went to cafe, I realized why so many people like to take photo before they eat, and they like to take picture selfie with their food. Okay, before long I started to do this as well, but without me in the picture. I only like to take food, and the next thing they did, they will share. Right? After sharing, their good friends, their followers will ask, "Hey, this looks delicious. Where is it? Why did you not invite me? Can we go tomorrow?" You know, so I discussed with my friends. Selfie now has become like a promotion. The companies did not pay them to do that. They did it voluntarily. And because they did it, and because of social media, more and more people know about it, and they patronage. They went to the same restaurant. Okay, why not we do a study to compare the effect of selfie promotion with celebrity endorsement? Okay, this person selfie, nobody. Celebrity, popular. This person, free. Celebrity, expensive. You need to pay. Now, when all these appear on social media, how would it affect consumer decision-making process? Now, selfie, nothing new. Celebrity endorsement, nothing new. Decision-making process, nothing new. What is new is how you create your story. Yesterday, I mentioned about problematization. When you do research, sometimes you use this method called gap spotting. You want to identify what are the gaps in literature so that you can argue the contribution of your research. But another innovative way is called problematization. You have to be innovative to see what people don't see or what they don't see yet. Because of your story, then only they see there is a need. There is, in fact, a problem there. Okay? So, our argument is based on the understanding, as I shared with you yesterday. Consumers do not always make rational decisions. Okay? This is why Professor Philip Kockler decided to do more marketing research than economic research. Ceteris paribus, everything else remains unchanged. Consumer makes rational decision. After some time, he did not think so. Okay, so consumer do not make rational decision. Okay, then we look at the literature. We found this model called ISAS. It is based on AIDA, AIDA, attention, interest, desire, and action. ISAS, why? Because of social media, we have share as the last process. Attention, interest, you search, you act, you buy, you use, you consume, and then you like it, you don't like it, you share. You complain, you share. You recommend, you share. Now, theoretically speaking, this model explains a phenomenon about consumer decision-making process. Theoretically, does it make sense? Something which you are aware of, you become interested. Because of your interest, you search more. After searching, you make your decision. After you make your decision, you share your experience. Theoretically, does it make sense? Theoretically, is it logical? Okay, the answer is yes. Why? Theoretical basis or theory provides logical explanation of the phenomenon. That's why when you do research, especially social science, behavior research, you must use theory as your underpinning basis to support your work. Until you become Professor Philip Kockler number 2, then you don't need theory anymore. Whatever you say, you will become textbook the next day. Okay? Until then, you must. My next question is, even though this theory provides logical explanation to the phenomenon of decision-making process, is it always true in your experience that you go through these 5 stages? Is it always true that you must go through these 5 stages when you make decision? No, huh? Theory is still theory. You must still use theory because from there you develop your framework and you develop a hypothesis. Your hypothesis, if supported, explain. If not supported, explain. It doesn't matter as long as your design is correct. Experience-wise, it is not entirely true, especially during COVID time when my mom was aware of something about COVID, about vaccination. She shared immediately. Okay? Sent to WhatsApp to all her children. Why? She loves her children. But I told her, Mom, this is fake news. You did not authenticate. You better don't share this anymore. Stop here. But she didn't care. Sharing is caring. Now sharing is not caring anymore. You are spreading lies. You did not create, but now you harbor, you spread. So after you are aware,
You did not go through this as what theory says. You go straight here. So we argue that there are multiple paths. Consumer is not always rational. So the story, the problematization technique that you use now make all these items which are common, new, original. Okay. In conclusion, we talk about big companies with capital to employ celebrity. We talk about small companies with no capital, they cannot pay celebrity. But if small companies know how to take advantage of selfie promotion and social media, they can be equally competitive. Why? Because they can strategize their business in such a way consumer decision-making process becomes short. They make compulsive, impulsive decision. And therefore, they will choose your product instead of the products from the bigger companies. Okay? This paper went through 7 rounds of review. Eventually, it was published in Internet Research. I know it is 10, right? Thank you. Next, please. Okay. This is a paper I wrote because I want to do justice to Sarawak. Have you been to Sarawak? How many of you? Oh, okay. Please come. Okay. Then hopefully I will arrange a dinner with the tourism minister if he's available. Anyway, I cannot cook Dayak food. I do not own Dayak restaurant. But as a researcher, I can write about Dayak food to promote, to help them. So I see value in writing this. The biggest population in Sarawak is not Malay, not Chinese, not Indian, but Dayak. But when people visit Sarawak, Malay food, Chinese food. Even though I'm a Chinese, I feel injustice. Okay, we have to help them. So I decided to write a paper about Dayak food. Not my area. I do it just to challenge myself and to help my Dayak friends. So I read some papers, I look at the references, which journals they use. Then I came across with this journal called Journal of Ethnic Foods, which I never knew, I did not know in the past. I do some homework. By the way, all these are points you need to consider and you should learn. I did some homework about the journal. Who are the editors? Who publishes this journal? Background check. Then I realized this journal is published by an institute in Korea. In their mission statement, aims, or whatever, their ambition is to collect, curate, research about ethnic food all over the world. Something along the line. Big claim, huh? The next thing I did, the search function on the website, I typed Dayak food. Do you know what's the result? The result show 0. What does that tell me? If this institute and therefore journal is serious about curating all ethnic food in the world in their collection and Dayak food is 0, it means that my paper has chance. Right? My paper has chance. Thanks to Wikipedia, even though I did not start Wikipedia, but thanks to Wikipedia, I got initial idea how to write, to describe all this food. All these pictures, I make sure they are original. I took it from my friend or we went to take photo. But I did not start Wikipedia, but we get a lot of basic information from Wikipedia. A very descriptive paper. Undergraduate student can also do it. I submitted in January, that particular year. 3 days later, I received email. Your paper is accepted with conditions. What does it tell you? Number 1, your paper is not ready yet. Number 2, we want your paper. Okay, I revised for 1 month. I submitted. 3 days later, accepted for publication. A week, 2 weeks later, published online. And for your information, this journal is Scopus Q1. Okay, Scopus Q1. Oh, in Indonesia, you have so many food. more than Malaysia. Nothing, no ashamed to admit. Okay, Sundanese food or whatever you call it. Maybe a paper on 5 to 10 different sambal. I don't know where did they bring me last time. Not this trip. Wow, there are 9 or 10 sambal for you to choose from. Anyway, so do this. I told my colleagues at UCSI when I was there. They wrote, and the paper was published. Okay. Of course, it might get more difficult now. I don't know, because this was done in 2017 or 2018. All right, but it is worth trying. But what matters here is how to fish. I study the editors. I study the journals. I will talk about study the editors later. Okay, sometimes it may help, but at least it is a process where it is fun. Next, please. Next. Okay. Many of us write research paper. Why? Because our thesis for Masters of Science, our thesis of our PhD resembles research paper. You have chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even though in a research paper you don't have that, but the idea is the same. Introduction, literature review, methodology, and so on and so forth. My presentation for this is, are you aware that journals actually accept many other manuscript types? The challenge here is, because of our master and PhD, again, necessary, important, we only learn how to write research paper. This is number one. Number two, completing your thesis and publishing your paper in good journal, top journal, are two different things. As a result, many who complete their PhD may still struggle publishing in good journals, even though both are research papers. So you need to know the rules of research papers. For social science, for marketing, for management, those good journals, without fail, they will emphasize on theoretical contribution. This will be the first. Knowledge contribution. You read the aims and scope, theoretical, knowledge, conceptual will always appear the first. Okay, will always appear the first. And if your paper is highly contextual, then very likely your paper will be rejected. Even though it is a good paper with good story, with good insights, but when they read your abstract, when they read your introduction, they are not clear what is your theoretical positioning. Yes, you talk about Bali, you talk about Jogja, you talk about Generation Z, you talk about internet, online purchase, you talk about all this, but we do not know what domain knowledge you are positioning and how you make contribution through this paper. It could be just another replication. The only difference is context. The only difference is population. The only difference is geographical location. For many, maybe I should not say all, for many good journals in social science, they would emphasize on knowledge contribution. It doesn't matter what WHO says. It doesn't matter what prime ministers say. What they say are important, but they do not constitute gaps in the literature. Okay? So, as a scholarly work, you must highlight what has been done. Why are they important? And what is the potential gap? And this is how you explore. This is the area of knowledge your paper will contribute to. So that is the technique that we must learn. Another issue is when you do a lot of community work, desa wisata in the rural areas, you have a lot of data, and this research is highly contextualized. Instead of writing research paper, why not try other manuscript types? Because, again, when your paper is rejected by a journal as a research paper, maybe it is because you used the wrong channel. It doesn't mean that your paper is poor. It may mean you use the wrong channel. Why not write it as a review paper? Why not write it as a case study? Why not write it as a commentary? And for that, we have to learn how to write them. Okay, the formats, the requirements are not entirely similar to research paper. So you look at your strengths, you look at your resources, you look at the nature of your study. Maybe it is more suitable to write them as a case study. If case study, 2,000 words, or for some journals, 4,000 words. What is on the next slide? Can you move to the next slide? Okay, more manuscript types. Next. More manuscript types. Okay, if you look at author's submission guidelines, you will see all this. The first type they will always mention is research paper. But number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Next, please. Next, please. Okay. Are you familiar with these two journals? Emerging Market Case Study, the Case Journal. Both are indexed in Scopus. And these journals accept case studies. Case studies, 4,000 words. Case studies, you can ignore theory. Case studies, you can ignore rigorous methods. Case studies, you don't even need primary data if you don't have. Case studies, in the first year of your PhD, your master, you can already do this because you don't need empirical data if your case does not need empirical data. It's about storytelling. It's about highlighting issues. It's about explaining the challenges and the development. At the end, you propose the ways forward. Okay? You can download some articles and you can read. I always like to say about this paper because I find it interesting. A case study about M.Mgt, Malaysia airline that went missing in Malaysia. Who are the authors? Scholars from China. Because in that plane, many China citizens. Okay? How did they do it? They provide the background. Then they describe the incident chronologically using newspaper. Then they describe the challenges Malaysia Airline is facing, Malaysian government is facing because they have to be answerable to the media. They gave contradicting, inconsistent response. The family members are not happy a lot. Then they provide conclusion, Malaysia Airline is in trouble. Not happy. Published. Okay. So I told my friends in Brawijaya last week, you have so many potential case studies. Or your current case study projects are already wonderful to come up with something controversial, interesting. But for these two journals, if you submit your case study, you must also submit teaching note. Why? Because their purpose is your case study in the future might be included in textbook. It becomes part of teaching manual. Okay? Now, do you see this? Emerald are pleased to pay authors £100 because they buy teaching note from you. Okay? So, if you have an interesting project in a rural area, yes, you can write it as a research paper, as long as your theory, your methods are all rigorous. But why not consider other types? Example, case study. No need theory, no need methods. Well, describe some methods, but it doesn't require beta value, standard error, t-value, lower limit confidence interval. You don't need all this. Okay? Next slide, please. What about this one? Anatolia, Scopus Q1. Journal of Convention and Event Tourism, Scopus Q2. I submitted 2 papers to these 2 journals under a manuscript type called Conference Review, Conference Report. This one, less than 2,000 words. This one, less than 750 words, because that is a requirement. Not more than 750 words. After 2 months, accepted for publication. Q1 and Q2. Same thing, DOI, and then later on in Elsevier, Scopus database, the paper will appear there. Unless your university makes specific requirement, you can only publish research paper. Okay, then you have to do it. If there is no such specific requirement, there are multiple channels to tell your story better so that your audience will appreciate your work better. But again, nothing wrong. You want to write it as a research paper, you want to learn, perfect, go for it. These are some alternatives. And this paper, I show you the article info, Journal of Ethnic Foods, remember? Received 23rd January, received revised 23rd of February, because I received their decision 3 days later. I revised for 1 month. After 1 month, sorry, not 3 days, on the same day, accepted. And then 2 weeks later, available online. Now this journal is published by Springer Nature, open access. Because open access, you need to pay 2,000 to 3,000 USD. But the owner is still the same, the institute in South Korea. And therefore it is written, it's on the next slide. Therefore it is written there that, not here. It is written that the institute will pay for you. Will waive your APC, article processing charge. How did I know? Do some homework. Okay, not just submission. Do some homework, know about the editors. Now, did you realize this one? Conference review. Please follow original article structure as applicable to your document. Next sentence. Please note, these submissions are reviewed by the editor-in-chief or manager editor and not peer-reviewed. What does it mean? If you know what editor likes, the conference that he attends, she attends, and you review a conference which is relevant to their views, your paper has high chance. Okay? So, again, writing is the most important thing. If you don't write, nothing will happen. But when you write, knowing how to strategize will make the process a lot more satisfying. And you learn a lot in the process. Okay, if you don't write, you use all this, nothing will happen. Okay, nothing will. You must still write and learn. And this is the process you can go through. Next, please. Okay, thank you. All right, I will skip all this. This was put together by my assistant. Why publish? Okay, these are the reasons we are aware of. Next, please. Why publish? These are the reasons that we are aware of. I hope by now why these 5 reasons become as important. Number 1, to improve your skills in writing, the way you make argument. Number 2, to satisfy your curiosity about something and let others know about it. Number 3, to network and make friends, build progressive collaboration with others. Number 4, to get connected to seasoned researchers and work with them. Number 5, to make a real and consistent impact by transferring knowledge to practice. Completion of PhD, promotion, more grant, all these remain important. What about the last 5 reasons? Because these 5 reasons, like what I said earlier, will ensure that you will always find motivation to do research. Ups and downs, you accept them. But you learn and you do better and better. Next, please. Okay, these are the articles you can look. I screenshot because it tells you why you start early. If you are young, start young. If you're not that young, start today. We are still young in our heart, okay? Okay, next please. This is an article long time ago which already explained why many excuses at that time, and they are still valid today, are no longer valid. Okay? They did study to check why certain people publish, why certain people don't publish. Why those who don't publish are busy, those who publish are also busy. Okay? One thing they highlight is what does seem relevant about distraction is that successful writers are not easily distracted from writing. So, it is about how you manage distractions. No one is freed from distraction. How you manage distraction. Okay? Some people can write 2 hours one stretch. Some people have so many things to do. They only have 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon. They can't write with only 30 minutes. Again, how to manage? Okay, I cannot give you formula. If time allows, I can only give you more examples. Again, how to fish, how to feel, fish, your bait. This is something we have to figure out. Next, please. Another paper, why people fail. Okay, next, please. Another paper, why success, why succeed. Okay, next, please. Another paper I mentioned earlier about enabling environment. If it is not given, then you develop it. You create it. Okay, you need that environment to ensure your writing is consistent. If you write a lot today, you spend 10 hours, and the next 10 days, you did not write anything. It's much better if you write something consistently, okay, rather than doing something, drastically, yet it is not something consistent. Next, please. Okay. Now we talk about business and economics, but again, we will not go into details. Next, please. Okay, why research in business and economics is essential, is necessary. As I said earlier, when we talk about social science, when we talk about behavioral research, it's not just about customer. Even in marketing, we don't just do research on customer. What about stakeholders? You have employees, government, community, tourist visitors, how they behave and how they interact. And because of that, social science research, business research, economic research is relevant to the entire business ecosystem. Not only at the policy level, but also in your business practices. Again, it depends on your research. If you just want to focus to get it done, again, nothing wrong with it. Okay, get it done, because or else you feel like something is not done all the time. But at the same time, in the process, again, this is where you can learn so many things. When we do consultancy project for the government, example, even though it is a marketing project, but during the project, you still have to apply multidisciplinary research. You need to know about many other things. Now with all the AI technologies, this could be wonderful research topics, but many people are doing that as well. So it's not just a topic. How you deliver that topic with novelty and originality. Okay? If I still receive a paper about COVID-19, I will reject. But I receive a paper where it uses COVID-19 as the context, but the bigger picture is about managing crisis. And therefore, this way of delivering story makes that paper still relevant today. Do you get the point? Okay? So again, how you deliver the topic. Next, please. Okay. From my assistant. These are, again, the sources where you can source topics, potential research from about business and economics. Journals, publication, not just textbook, okay? Journals, especially journals, okay? And online database, research platforms, and also conferences. Okay, I will quickly end with some of these points. Next, please. Some low-hanging fruits. what you can do to fish, to learn to fish. Know the experts in your areas of research and their works. If you do marketing, who are the gurus of marketing? If you do management, strategic management, leadership, entrepreneurship, human resource management, who are the experts in these areas? And you need to know them, at least you know their names, and you need to know their works. Read their papers. Okay? So all of us can do this, right? And if you know who they are, and you follow them on LinkedIn, you will know which conference he or she attends. Maybe one day he is a keynote speaker to a conference in Singapore. Invest, even though you have no grant. Go and attend a conference and meet the person. Okay, see your research as an investment. Number 2, know good journals in your areas. Read some good articles published in those journals. Same question. If marketing, which journals? If economics, which journals? If macroeconomics, which journals? If econometrics, which journal? Okay, so know these journals, download some papers, read them. Okay, of course, you need to keep reading for your research. What I'm emphasizing here is you can read some good papers again and again and again to learn from these authors how they write the papers, how they use different terms to explain things, to make things easy to understand. Okay. Number 3, many good journals, editors write editorials. Read editorials. Editorials usually 2 things. Number 1, editorials about publishing. Editorials about topics. 2 things. Okay, usually, of course, editors may write something else, but usually these are the 2 things they write. They will talk about publishing. They will talk about the topics, the papers they like. So if you read, then this could be, you could get a lot of ideas how you write your research papers. And you can also cite their papers to support your argument why this is a contemporary issue. Because these papers are from good journals, from good researchers. Number 4, read systematic literature review papers related to your topics. So what you do is, we have no time to show you. Actually, I prepared. It's okay. Now, example, use Google Scholar. Then in Google Scholar, you type systematic literature review. Open and close inverted comma, whatever, because you want these words to be together. Then you type sustainable tourism. So what happens is, Google Scholar will show you papers which use systematic review approach on this topic. That 1 or 2 papers will be enough to tell you where all the other papers are. Okay, all the other papers. And not only that, they structure their review by topics, by themes, by whatever. It gives you a lot of idea to craft your literature review table and to decide what you actually want to do. One paper will lead to many other papers. But of course, you want to make sure that these papers are published in good journals, more credible. Okay? Number 5, utilize online tools to facilitate your research activities. ChatGPT, by all means. DeepSeek, by all means. The only problem is you must exercise your role as a researcher. Example, a few weeks ago, I asked my assistant to come up with a draft for me. He used ChatGPT. Okay, it doesn't matter. When I read the paper, I look at the citations. I did not really know where these citations, I didn't really know. I checked the references. Then I go to Google and check. These citations, these references are from lousy journals, but they market their journals and papers with high visibility. And that's why it is captured by ChatGPT. Okay, so I told him, all the citations in the paper I throw away. These are all rubbish citation and references. So you must still exercise. DeepSeek seems to do better. So by all means, paraphrasing to whatever, don't replace your role as the researcher. You are still the researcher. Even when you use smart PLS, for example, SPSS, for example, factor analysis, for example, these are software which you can abuse easily. There is an article by Professor Herman Arguinis, top scholar in US, forcing the data to lie. That is the title of his paper. Forcing your data to lie. That's how good some people are to abuse this journal. Factor analysis is one of the most abused techniques because you can do something, click something, put something in to generate the results that you like. And you don't show this process in your paper. And you don't report that. Okay, or you report otherwise, unless editor, reviewer ask you to declare, then you have to be careful. All right? Attend conferences where you will meet seasoned researchers and network with them, network with delegates to build collaboration. When you attend conference, yes, you present, yes, you want your paper to be published, but don't forget, for me, the most important thing is to meet people, to share your work, and to learn from them. That is the most important thing. If you want to publish, you can submit your paper directly to journal. Yes, you can also do it through conference, but don't forget about all this. Again, I hope you don't get upset if I say this. We attend conference, opening ceremony, full house. Minister is here, chancellor is here. After opening ceremony, half gone. In your presentation session, only 5 people. Why? Because all 5 people need to present, and therefore all of them are listeners. After you present on the first day, second day, shopping, right? Okay, nothing against all this, but you could have stayed and meet them. I always say this, I like to meet people on the front rows. I always like to talk to people sitting at the back rows. Front row, VVIP. Back rows, he could be a lecturer. 2 years later, he becomes the dean. He becomes the head of department. Maybe that's why I get invited, because I met many lecturers. Now they become deans, heads, directors. Anyway, so we can learn a lot from them. Whatever, even if we can't, we can still work together. Example, we need him to collect data from Vietnam. We need this person to collect data in the Philippines. Let's do a paper, cross-border comparison on something. Okay? And it may facilitate MOU signing between 2 universities later. Again, how you strategize your research, your publishing, and by doing that, you learn with others. I mentioned briefly about this one person. Okay, it's on the next slide. Take the initiative. Sorry. Take the initiative to work with the experienced ones, not propose your value, and show your work ethic. Okay, next. Okay, these are some of the takeaway. Know and meet experts. Okay, these 2 persons, Christian Ringer, Marco Sastet from Germany. These are top scholars. Okay, their Google Scholar citations are 6 figures. 6 figures. Okay, I wrote a paper with them on predictive model assessment in PLS SCM. Last time I checked, this paper is cited more than 3,000 times. Okay, based on Google Scholar, most of them are also captured in Scopus and Web of Science. Now, there is no shame to admit that if I were to do this alone, dream on, this will not happen. Okay, but I value friendship and I work with them, and this is something that we achieved together. Last year, there was a ranking, sort of. All the marketing papers in the world, our paper is ranked number 1. Okay, it's ranked number 1 for the last 5 years. This is how you learn from them, you work with them, you attend conference selectively, you meet them, So right now, if I conduct a workshop on Smart PLS, Ringer will always support me by giving all the participants 2-month free license. 1 month, €30. Okay, 2-month free license. Okay, next. Propose your value to work with others. This person, David Waller, I shared with some PhD students yesterday. We wrote a paper together. Sorry, my friend and I wrote a paper together. We wanted to invite someone to co-author. And David Waller is an expert in that particular subject matter. We did not know him. We tried our luck. I wrote an email to David Waller. As a typical Malaysian or Indonesian, dear Professor Dr. David Waller, I hope this email finds you in good health, whatever. We write a lot to praise him, to worship him. Sorry, not worship, to praise. Then we would like, it will be an honor, to invite you to co-author, whatever. Few days, fortunately he replied. If not replied, normal also, he replied, thank you for writing to me. I'm sure this is a good paper. However, okay, not interested. Okay, gone case. We did not give up. 1 year later, my friend and I prepared another paper because we learned, we improved. This time, it is a better paper. And we wrote to him again. And I learned, because I graduated from New Zealand many, many years ago. I could have done this, but in the first letter, we were too naive, too polite. Second letter, hi, David. Okay, forget about professor, whatever. Australian, right? Very blunt, huh? Do you still remember me? Then, this is my next paper. What is it about? Briefly, I would like you to consider. I add another sentence. We would like to target this journal, Marketing, Intelligence and Planning. This is rank A in ABDC. For Australian, then suddenly the antenna comes out. So she replied, yes, I remember you. Thanks for whatever. I read the paper, interesting paper. I'll be happy to work with you. Okay, very good. Mission complete. Then he asked me, your draft is already done. What can I do? Because they are very ethical. They want to make sure they contribute. I already know that he will ask this question. So I told him, I want you to do 2 things, which are extremely difficult for us, but extremely convenient for you. Okay, what are these 2 things? Number 1, I need your help to improve the story, the communication. No need new data, no need new literature. Improve the whole story so that the clarity is better. Okay, so our 2 paragraphs, he revised into 1 paragraph. Our 3 sentences, he rewrite as 2 sentences. Much, much better with the same content. This is number 1. Number 2, please proofread. Actually, he doesn't need to proofread. He is, English is his first language. From our side, we save money. Actually, we want to save money. We don't want to send to proofreader. So he did both. We submitted, went through review, we revised, accepted for publication. Now, become good friends as well. Okay, I invited him as a keynote speaker in a conference. When I went there, University of Technology, Sydney, he also received me, gave me an office space to work. So, next please. A lot of stories. Sorry, I can't say too much. I need to finish immediately. Next slide. So all these topics, where you get these topics from, again, like I said, many times it's not just the topic, it's how you communicate that topic, okay, which is more important. Build your network and build your teams, okay? Another story, Emerald Literary Award, outstanding paper. Again, no shame to tell you the truth. This is not my paper. Okay, it was my friend's paper, and he invited me as a co-author. So we completed the paper, he submitted. A year later, that paper was recognized as the best paper in that particular journal. So again, I become a beneficiary. We learn together, I'm invited to work with them, but because we built team together and we we enjoy our success together. Okay, same goes to conference paper, best paper awards and all that. And over the time, even during COVID-19 time, we work together, we have a team. I told some of my friends, I have a team in Indonesia, Thailand, in Southeast Asia, in China. There are so many things you can do. If not, join a team, join a social group, join a network, learn, build your team, and do things together. I know it is easy said than done, but we have no time to elaborate. If this makes sense to you, if this is something you'd like to know more, let me know. I'll be able to elaborate. Next, please. For lecturers or lecturers to be, invest in your students. Okay, I again cannot tell you too much, but let me just share one thing with you. This journal, this paper, which is published in tourism management, top 1, top 2 in tourism, is actually based on my undergraduate students' work. Okay, so how you invest in your student, work together, how they become your master student, eventually they become your PhD student, your student becomes your colleague. I think Ibu Mita told me the same thing. Is it you or someone? So this is something that you can do. And when I taught MBA in the past, all of them are working adults. Now they are the director of this authority or agency or board, whatever. It makes a lot of research, consultancy project, accessibility to data a lot easier, a lot easier. They trust you because you were once their teacher, lecturer. Okay, it makes things easier. All right, next. Talk to the practitioners, learn from them. Either I was invited or I attended UN Tourism Conference. This is in China, Tourism Authority. This is from India, whatever. This is a good paper by Rokhima, a big name in marketing. Now, many years ago, I was invited by the Ministry of Health in Malaysia to conduct a nationwide project on pharmaceutical compliance. After 2 years, when that project was done, there was no non-disclosure agreement. I asked permission from the directors whether we can rewrite the report into a paper for publication, partly because I want to learn, I want to try. Okay, so we did that. Eventually, we submitted, and it was published in a journal, maybe Scopus, I don't know, Q2 as well. There are many authors. Why? Because all these authors are senior directors from different states in Malaysia. Sarawak, Sabah, Penang, Selangor, whatever. And don't be surprised if you read this paper. After background, after introduction, what is the next section? Literature review, right? Don't be surprised. After the introduction, I go straight to methods. Even though there are formats to follow, even though there are guidelines to follow, what matters more is how you communicate. It is still possible. Okay, I review literature briefly under background. I need to go to methods because it's more about result. Okay, and the paper proposed a model to ensure that there is still knowledge contribution. All right, next please. Okay, these are some of the communities that I have. One of them is called Sierra, Southeast Asia Research Academy. We started when COVID-19 began. 4 years have passed, 5 years have passed. We are still doing this together. We meet every Wednesday night, Jakarta time, 7 to 8:30. We started with 10 people, now roughly 400. Okay, Southeast Asia. If you're interested, get more information from me. Okay, ICRT, SCA, and then we developed a magazine called Impact. Feel free to submit your paper. It's only 1 year old. What is Impact? International I, magazine M, for practitioner P, academic A, community C, transformation T. We capture all the big words in Impact. Okay, okay. So this is a magazine. I don't know whether it can be indexed because we do things differently, but the purpose is we only want paper 750 to 1,000 words. We want to know story in this particular place, Desa Wisata or whatever, and we create a map we create a heat map on the website to showcase all this work so that people not only learn about your work, they also learn about you. We hope that they will contact you to develop more collaboration. Okay, this is the idea behind this. Next, please. These are some of the conferences that will happen this year. In particular, next please, the conference that will happen in June in Cavite, in Manila, in the Philippines. I would like to extend my invitation to all of you. If you would like to join us, please, we will provide you more information. It is like an academic conference. So you know what it is, but it is more than an academic conference. It is a professional conference because ministers, officials, industry, community will also join. Apart from academic paper presentation, we also have impact story presentation. Okay, what happened last year? Academic paper presentation, impact story. There were 2 sessions that happened concurrently. We found that most delegates like to join impact story because a lot very interesting with all the success story failures. Okay, next. I think it's done. Huh? Okay, the fewer. All right, so I hope my scattered sharing, and sorry about time, you find it useful. So I'll just pass the floor to our chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause to Professor Hiram. So due to the limited time, I'm probably going to invite one question from the audience. If there's someone who wants to ask, okay, from that side. Okay, please state your name and then your question to Professor Hiram.
Okay, thank you for the opportunities. My name is Triwayuningsih. I'm civil servant from Yogyakarta Municipal City, and I'm Master of Science in Management, majoring in Innovation and Knowledge Studies. My job allows me to explore interesting topics to write, like wise leadership from Sri Sultan, and also cultural aspect integrate to the governance and some other topics. And your sharing session, this really inspired me. And I want to ask about what is the best strategy to write consistently when we're facing a full lot of class assignments. At the same time, we want to write a good quality paper in the short times, and also proper to submit in maybe Q1 or Q2 journals. Because I feel like I have many interesting topics in my jobs. It's a good topic to write. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So you have lots of interesting topic based on the practice that you faced during the workings that you've done. And as a student, you want to have tips and tricks of how to write, how to say, efficiently, effectively,
Consistent.
so that
consistent.
Yeah, and consistently.
We need another 3 days. We need another 3 days. I mean, no joke, because last week when I was in Brawijaya, they invited me to conduct workshop for 5 days. 3 days on writing. And then only I can provide enough examples, enough illustration, and we use their papers as examples to go through paragraph after paragraph to learn. Right now, I can only share with you some principles, because I cannot tell you what is best for you. Different people, different journeys. One thing I mentioned earlier is identify the journal that is relevant to your field, to your work. Download some papers based on keywords which are relevant to the topic that you're interested in. Read these papers multiple times. Because if you do that, you will become so familiar with these papers, you will absorb the skills of these authors, how they write. It will affect how you speak, how you write as well. You will improve because of that. This is useful for all of us.
because English is not our first language. Instead of using, as I mentioned yesterday, however, how to use different ways to express your disagreement, your argument, by reading the same article, good article related to your topic multiple times, you will absorb, you will learn all this. Okay, so this is number one. Anyone can do it. Okay, anyone can do it today. Now, number two, when I did my PhD, I work as well. My first daughter born, second daughter born during my PhD time. So I knew that I could not write things like any full-time student. They are 28 years old, PhD, full-time, from 9 to 5 p.m. Sorry, not me. I have to work. I need to balance my life. So I need to strategize my resources. Example, the papers that I read, I will copy and paste them. At that time, no AI, whatever, sorry. I copy and paste them on a document, my working paper. Because why? On Monday, I only have 30 minutes to do my work. If I need to read, think, write, 30 minutes will not be enough. I always tell my colleagues, if I write, I need at least a 2-hour block, or else I will not produce anything. Unless it is something very simple. What is your name? My name is Hiram. Okay, not a problem. But if it is a research paper, I must have at least a 2-hour block to properly think, read, write, delete. Eventually, this is it, right? So if I only have 30 minutes on Monday, 45 minutes on Tuesday, 50 minutes on Wednesday, 1 hour on Thursday, 1 hour on Friday, what I will do is I will read a paper, whatever that is relevant to my study, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. Once this is done, this paper is done. The next day, same thing, I will do that. At the same time, on that document, I structure chapter 1, 2, 3. Under chapter 1, introduction, problem statement, scope of study, I structure all the subheadings so that whatever I copy and paste, they will fall under the relevant subheading. I do this for 5 days or 4 days, depending on my schedule. Then, example, on Saturday, I have 4 hours. I will look at my compilation. I will then connect them, revise them, paraphrase them. Things which I did not paraphrase, I highlight in yellow to remind me that this is not paraphrased yet. On that day, I work on something that is partly done, okay, in order to make good use of my time so that I can do it more effectively. I do references at the same time. I did this for 2 years. After I collected my data, when I began to write after I get my results, that document is already 50,000 worded. Okay? Introduction, methods, whatever, is all captured. Citation, references, all are already done progressively, little by little. So for me, this is how I did it. Public holiday, Friday, example, 4 hours block. Saturday, 3 hours block. Then I will look at my compile work and I will work on this to make it better. So this is one thing that I did. I'm not sure about your situations. So you have to find your best way to do things. Do you have kids?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So you just have to learn how to manage them. Okay. The thesis that I was about to submit, before I submitted, I don't know why my kid found my thesis and he he drew many things in my thesis. That becomes another problem. Okay. Anyway, you have to find different challenges, find ways. It is a progressive process. I don't think you can learn this overnight. There is no short. They might AI shortcut, but you have to use it with care. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No easy way, no shortcut to have an effective writing.
There are some legitimate shortcuts.
Yep.
Legitimate shortcuts. Make sure you don't do it at the expense of learning. That's it.
Yeah. So to do an easier writing, we still have to spend an initial effort to actually capture the skills. And to borrow Professor Hiram's terms, it's managing the distraction, I guess. He's not telling us to manage our time well, but he's telling us to manage our distraction because our lives is full of distractions, I guess. Okay, thank you very much for the questions and also for the answers. Another questions, maybe, if there's still anyone who wants to ask? No, regarding managing distractions or is there anything you want to reconfirm regarding the contemporary issues in business and economic research? Although Professor Hiram didn't give us the straight up answer on what are the issues, but I learned a lot that finding the contemporary issue can come from making friends with other people. In a conference, when you're talking in a coffee shop, for example, I met a lot of people, and from the conversation with a lot of people, I get an interesting research idea. Not doing with them, but to collaborate with other researchers to do research. Because with a lot of things that we've done in our lives, if you're a teacher, if you're working, if you're a student, we probably could not write a paper alone, right? Not in solitary. But we can collaborate with others, finding more interesting ideas, and probably we can produce more interesting paper in a shorter period of time. So that is what we want, right? Okay, lastly, questions, names?
Thank you. My name is Budi. I'm also a student here. I just have a short question. You have a lot of collaboration in creating papers, we do have this order in putting who's the first, second, and etc. How do you manage to do that and discuss that with other collaborators? Because just like you invite Professor Wallace, you already finished the paper, but then he jumped in and then you put him on the third row right after your name. How do you deal with that? Because especially for lecturers, you can have a credit for publishing, right? And it's quite sensitive, actually, not only on monetary term, but also in your career.
Okay. Thank you for the question. I will give you two answers. Number one, answers in general. Number two, my answer. Okay. Answers in general. First author, corresponding authors obviously carry more weights. So if this is your paper, the ideas are from you, you originate it, you contribute more, then in all honesty, by right, you should be the first author. You should be the corresponding author. Anyone who is invited to help later, they become co-authors. Of course, there are some situations like some universities, not sure about UGM, whereby students, supervisors, they work together, even though students do all the work, but when they submit paper for publication for the completion of their PhD, they must include their supervisors as first author in some places, because second author, the student is the corresponding author. So you still handle. Can't argue, because if this is a policy, then you just have to do it. But in the future, when you work with others, then you need to know who contributes more, who originates this idea. Therefore, some journals, example, Tourism Management by Elsevier, towards the end of the paper, declaration of author's contribution. So when you submit, you also need to declare how much you contribute as an author. And it will be stated in the paper when it is published. Okay, so it becomes something open, something public. It is now under public scrutiny. Again, if someone hates you, then they will find trouble. Okay? Number two, my answer, and that is not the answer that you would like to refer to, because my answer is I don't really care. The paper that I showed you just now, internet research, selfie, that was my study, my paper. I invited, at that time they are all students, I invited them to join. And one of them, first author, he told me that it is important that he use this paper for whatever KPI. I gave him first author. So for me, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, you can call it whatever it is. It's just the way it is. Then I invited the third author, the fourth author, even though they contributed less, but still they contributed significantly. Again, this is another paper, we work together. This time I drive. Next time he drives, he holds the driving wheel. Next time that person, we work together. Make sure we contribute. Because if this is not done carefully, you can also abuse this. That's why people talk about paper mill, conglomerate. They work together as a gang, editors, authors, to produce more papers. I can't comment much because it really depends on how, why or how they do it, but it is possible. So I hope I answer the question. Yeah, thank you.
Much. So based on contribution, one, the general one, the second one, from those who published a lot, he don't really care. I do care.
Not a good answer. Sorry.
No, it's a good answer because we can picture ourselves for the next 10 to 20 years in the future that we don't care anymore about the order of the writings. But that could be difficult, as you said, because yeah, some people have different requests on whether they want to be the first, second, or the third. Okay, lastly, let me ask the audience again. Is there any other questions to be asked to Professor? Okay, last questions.
Thank you. First of all, my name is Rere. I'm from Universitas Cendekia Mitra Indonesia. Currently in my third semester, studying management. Okay, excuse me, I want to asking, and I'm sorry, my English is not good. Okay, in the context of academic research, how do you see the role of AI? At first you were saying like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and in the role of AI in enhancing the quality of efficiency of research. I think you was don't like about ChatGPT because you was tell us about your story with your assistant that you throw the what the from AI you throw, and if I think because I was said I think you don't like it, especially is there any particular reason of that? Okay, thank you, and I'm sorry.
This is the question that we will always get in many discussions, including research and publishing. In general, we embrace technologies. These technologies are here to stay. You should learn how to use them. There was an interview last year with Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, semiconductor. He was asked this question: do you think AI technologies will replace human activities? His answer is he does not think that AI technologies will replace human activities, but those who know how to use AI will replace those who don't know how to use them. So generally, we learn, we embrace all these technologies. How to use them, whether you let these technologies assume your role as researchers, this is something that you have to look into. 2 days ago, 10 p.m., I had a Zoom meeting with my friend in China. She specifically wanted to share with me about DeepSeek. DeepSeek seems to do certain things better. They can learn how you think critically. So when it comes to writing, it can convey that critical thinking rather than just something descriptive. I asked her, if authors do this, why not editors also do this? Can I also use DeepSeek to help me review all these papers and check whether these information are from ChatGPT, from DeepSeek? At the moment, she told me DeepSeek cannot remember what it provides. So authors are safe. But things will grow. I asked her, can you train and see whether this can be done? So for all publishers, in their publishing ethics, the use of AI is already included. Okay, but we don't know how we actually use it. Okay, and now these technologies have become so advanced, and researchers are also clever. They know how to write, use to ensure that similarity index or whatever will not be a problem. I can only say this, as an editor, I let reviewers do their jobs. I don't review, they review. But after the review is done, I look at the paper, I only look at the story, whether the authors convey their story clearly. If the entire paper is generated by AI, we did not spot it, you get away with it, the paper is published, you are happy, then I will tell you, don't be happy for too long. Because I, as an editor, am also asked to review papers which are already published, but it was red flag. Okay, one incident only 2 months ago. That more job for me now. Look at the paper which was published in 2019. To cut the story short, we suspect the authors did something to manipulate. Reviewers did not pick up. Eventually, the paper was retracted, and their names are put to shame. Okay, your reputation will be on the line, especially when you become someone with position later. 5 years, 10 years later, don't be surprised. Even 20 years later, which is happening now, people dig up all this and check your work because algorithm, all this will also improve. Okay, so again, use them to your advantage, but make sure your voice, your thoughts, it doesn't replace your role as researcher. And if authors, if consumers take advantage of this, don't forget editors, supplier, those who listen to your presentation one day will also use these technologies to check your proposal, to check your paper. That's why early I mentioned, thanks to human complication, we are becoming so smart, so complicated, so complex, but we will take our own medicine. Now these algorithms improve, you have to do more in order to show your ethical practice. Some journals require ethical clearance now. One day, don't be surprised, even though it is stated optional, but it may become mandatory. One day, master, PhD, you must bring all your survey, transcript, translation, whatever, Or university, more job. Before sending out, there is a committee, not only graduation school, committee to screen first all the thesis, whatever. There might be more jobs. So we'll see how it goes. But again, at the individual level, use these technologies to help you, to make you better. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hiram, because technology, we can use technology to be more productive, right? Doing non-core human tasks. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Hiram, for the sharing today. Please join me to attend once more a warm applause for Professor Hiram. Thank you very much. And with the finish of the Q&A session, that concludes our session today. Thank you very much for participating, asking questions, and actively listening to what Professor Hiram and the discussion conducted today. Thank you very much, and I'll give the time back to the Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much.